Hello and welcome along to this week's edition of HK Direct. Here's what we've got coming up for you on today's show. And Amazing Kids will shoulder the top weight in our feature race, the Singapore Turf Club Trophy, where he'll take on impressive last start winners Born in China and Dundonald. And if you tuned into last week's show, you would have seen part one of our interview with the Durban Demon. Douglas White will bring you part two of that exclusive interview today. But the feature event on a 10-race card at Sha Tin this Sunday afternoon is the Singapore Turf Club Trophy. Here's the lineup for the Class 1 event, over 1,200 metres, featuring a field of 11 and worth $2.5 million Hong Kong dollars. Up the top, Amazing Kids, his first run since the Hong Kong Sprint. Not listening to me is a bit of weight relief thanks to Matthew Poon's claim. Penophobia is a top-class sprinter on his day, but out of form at the moment. We'll have a closer look at Born in China and Dundonald shortly. Over the page to the ever-consistent Archipus. House of Fun's in very good form, but hasn't won this season. And Fabulous One will give them something to catch with his lightweight and Jack Wong on board. Let's go to the touchscreen though and have a look at some lead-up form. We're going to start at the barrier trials that took place this Tuesday at Sha Tin. And we're going to have a look at Amazing Kids. Now, this is one of his 3 trials that he's had leading into this race. He hasn't raced since the international meeting in December, and he finished 5th on that day behind Mr. Stunning. He's a dual Group 3 winner. He got back in this trial. I like the way that he finished off to finish 3rd. This is the first time he's raced outside of group company for 2 years. And for mine, I think he's got the class edge on a lot of these horses. You look at his form, he wasn't far off our top-class sprinters earlier on in the season. He's drawn well here, and I think that he's going to get every chance, given that there looks to be plenty of speed on in the race. So my pick at this stage would be Amazing Kids. The horse, though, that his rider Brett Preble believes is his main danger is Born in China. Let's have a look at him, who won impressively, I might add, at Happy Valley. There's a few coming out of this race, though. There's Born in China. You've also got House of Fun, who's racing very well at the moment. He's a very consistent horse. And you can't forget about Archipus either. Might be tested at this grade Archipus, but he's always one to consider from your exotics and multiples because he will pop up in the top 4. But Born in China, he's racing really, really well this season. He's had 5 starts this campaign for 2 wins and 2 seconds. This is his most recent run. Not necessarily the soundest of horses, but going very well at the moment. The issue with him is his Sha Tin record. He's at 8 starts at Sha Tin. He's never won there. He has actually been placed there behind Amazing Kids before, but his best runs, all 4 of his wins in Hong Kong, have been at Happy Valley. House of Fun, you can see there as well too, ran a game second, has trialled well, very well last Tuesday. The other horse that we've got to mention is Dundonald. He's been going very well since joining Frankie Law's stable this season. Back in trip from 1,400 to 1,200 metres after his win in the Chinese New Year Cup shouldn't be an issue. He's a winner at Group 2 level of the Sprint Cup a couple of years ago over this trip, beating the likes of Gold Fun and other top-class sprinters, Penophobia, who was in great form at that time. So if he brought that form or even the form from his last run, he's certainly going to be in there with some sort of a hope. In order, though, for me, I'm going to go for Amazing Kids as the one to beat, to bounce back and win ahead of House of Fun. So a John Size Quinella for mine. Dundonald will be close up, as will Born in China. So 1, 9, 5 and 4 are my numbers. I'd be backing Amazing Kids the win if I was to have a bet in the race. But as mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to bring you part 2 of our interview with the Durban Demon, Douglas White. The 13-time champion jockey has been one of the main men in Hong Kong racing for over 20 years. And as he mentions to Andrew Lejeune, things have changed quite a bit in that time.
The racing scene's changed a hell of a lot. It's, when I came in '96, there were even still Class 6 races. And you know, I don't think the caliber of horse was anywhere near what it is now. You know, I mean, I did travel with Indigenous and Oriental Express in those days, but Ivan was a genius, and those were kind of the best of the best then. I reckon there's horses here now that would compete, well, they do, they compete internationally and they're competitive internationally. So the standard of horse from when I started until now has gone up dramatically. And I think the standard of jockey has improved. I think the whole of Hong Kong, its racing jurisdiction and the racing in particular, it's got more competitive. I think people from all over the world can see when there's a photo finish, there might be 6 or 7 horses going across the line, and there might be between 3/4 of a length separating them. So the handicapping system is very competitive, and I think that with the place itself, with what Hong Kong racing expects from their jockeys, I don't think there's any jockey that's riding in Hong Kong at the moment that wouldn't make it anywhere. They are physically, mentally, and homework-wise really prepared.
On Hong Kong racing as well, it's quite unique in the way it works. There's no agents, there's no jockeys, managers, so you're doing all that sort of work yourself. How do you, over the best part of 2 decades, remain loyal and keep your integrity with all of this when it's a merry-go-round almost sometimes?
It catches up. Like I say, everything has a shelf life. It all catches up, and you know, you try and keep everybody happy, and but unfortunately, at the end of the day, you're trying to get the best possible rides and win as many races as you possibly can. So you're going to upset a lot of people along the way, and not that you intend to, but it does happen. You know, and there's often races where 2 horses might get in the same race, and you've been working both of them, and you have to make a decision on which one to ride. So you've got to let somebody down, and it does catch up.
So if that's the past, the present, what's the future holds for Douglas White? Still plenty to look forward to?
Still plenty to look forward to. I'm still very ambitious. I'm still very competitive. I love horses, so it'll always have something to do with horses. But at the moment, I'm still happy and healthy and fit. So we'll just keep chipping away.
Using Frankie Dettori, who's I think he might have a couple of years on you actually, Frankie, but he said he'll ride until he's 50. Do you set goals like that, or is it just a case your body will tell you when it's time to move on and do something else?
I think your body tells you, and I think when you lose that competitiveness and that edge and wittiness about you and that hunger, I think, you know, I don't think anybody can tell you but yourself, and I think if you're honest with yourself, you'll know when it is. I think by Frankie setting a goal at 50, I think that's fantastic, and I would probably love to do that, but unfortunately in a jurisdiction like Hong Kong, it doesn't allow you to set goals on your terms, when you want to stop and when you want to do this. It'll be up to whether I get relicensed or whether I want to continue. So we'll see what happens.
If we played a game of what if, whatever it is you do go on to do afterwards, who are the people, you mentioned Ivan Allen a little bit earlier on, the big influences in your career, the people that you've taken things from?
You know, Wong Tang Ping, I rode my first winner for him on a horse called Fireball, and it's just amazing how, you know, you can repay people that help you out through your career. And his last runner as a trainer, I rode that winner for him, and I got down to ride 115, and I got up and won a short head. So he gave me my first winner, and I gave him his last winner.
Northern Gold Ball's lifting, the crowd roar, it's for their money and their hearts. Ping's trying hard, but Ivan Allen's Gold Contest still in front. He's lifting now, Northern Gold Ball comes and wins. Ping, a dream goodbye.
During the interim of him training, he helped me out, but he also became a friend and a very good trainer. So the likes of him and of course Ivan Allen, my association with John Sires, we had a great innings. David Hayes, he was a really good mate as well. They've all been there and they've all had an influence. But my innings with Tony Cruz, I rode for him for a year, was fantastic. So I've been on some really good horses, and I've had some good associations with a lot of people. But I would say one of the wisest and astute and best horsemen would definitely be Ivan Allen.
And is there can you describe the feeling when you do ride a good horse in a big race and you win, whether it's a short head or 3 lengths pulling up? Can you describe that feeling? Can you put it into words?
It's very difficult to if someone hasn't ridden before, but it would be like putting your foot down on the throttle on a sports car, and it just kicks in, and you know, it sort of sucks you into the seat. And I'll never forget horses like Oriental Express, and especially one of the few was Ambitious Dragon.
Ambitious Dragon being called upon, and he quickly put pay to them in the Gold Cup. Ambitious Dragon raced away from Pure Champion. Can California Memory pegging back. Extension's trying hard, but Ambitious Dragon going boldly, and he's got the double all wrapped up. Ambitious Dragon beats Extension and California Memory.
Ambitious Dragon, you had to really sit and wait, and when you pressed the button, you had to be sure that there was clear running, because the way that he quickened, I mean, he used to sink 2 inches lower, because his stride would lengthen, and you would have to anticipate that, because if you didn't, you'd almost get that kickback, like you're going to fall back in the saddle. So the only way I can truly describe a feeling like that is when you put your foot flat down and that car kicks in and you feel that pull, and then you just have to steer it and hope, well, not hope, just steer in the right direction. And it's a phenomenal feeling. I think every jockey lives for. It's probably like a golfer hitting that sweet spot and finding the pin. It's what keeps you going back, and it's what we all wake up for.
So your advice for anyone, doesn't even have to be a jockey, any walk of life, that they want to be the best of the best, persistence will take you so far, and talent is obviously important, but there's a scrap heap full of talented people. What's the winning formula of a champion's mindset?
There's no shortcuts. The harder you work, the luckier you get. Ivan Allen taught me that a long time ago, and there's no shortcuts in life. So if you want to take shortcuts, and you better think again about being a champion, because it's all about time, effort, and dedication. You know, it's a long, tough road, and a dedicated road to be a champion. And you know, when I see the likes of the Roger Federers and those guys going around and just maintaining that form, you've got to believe what the work they do behind the scenes. Not many people appreciate it. You know, to watch him is just graceful. He's poetry in motion. But what those guys do behind the scenes, and likewise what I did for 13 years, and what any champion would do, it's hard work. So there's no shortcuts.
Thanks to Andrew Lejeune and Douglas White for that interview. If you want to watch it in its entirety, you can go to the Hong Kong Jockey Club YouTube page, and that interview will be up there on that page shortly. Douglas has got 5 rides on Sunday afternoon at Sha Tin, including a couple of winning chances. If you want to catch the coverage, here's how you can do so. It'll kick off at 12:30. First race is at 1 o'clock. The race we've previewed. Our feature is the Singapore Turf Club Trophy. It's race 7 at 4:05 Hong Kong time. And as always, you can go to the website and Twitter for more information. But that's all we've got time for on this edition of HK Direct. We've got one of the biggest meetings for the year coming up next week, the Hong Kong Derby meeting, and you'll be able to join Andrew Lejeune for a special edition of HK Direct next week looking at the Derby. But for now, that's all. It's goodbye.